Are we going to record this? There you go.
Apparently,
Hey,
yeah.
everybody. This is my time. It's Tom's time to shine. You ready? Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Longbox, guys. With me, as always, is some of my very favorite people from since when I was a little kid. Mike Manning, how you doing and what are you drinking?
I'm doing excellent. I'm drinking some Eagle Rare Bourbon out of my Johnny Skywalker rocks glass. I have to use this one because I went to Rick's in Casablanca, and I got a rocks glass, and I was very excited about it. But I've been using it for the last 2 years and didn't realize it was wearing off every time
Yes.
I put it in the dishwasher. These Johnny Skywalker glasses from Geek Orthodox never wear out. They are the perfect glass.
Dishwasher safe. That's what we're saying, and we're sticking with it. Tommy, God damn it, Tommy, you better not be drinking what I think you're drinking. What are you drinking, Tommy?
I'm drinking the last
Oh,
of the
come
old
on,
camp
man.
whiskey. This is it.
Yay!
I know what I'm getting you. I know what I'm getting him for Christmas.
Don't dare you.
A big bottle.
I'm on
There you go.
Drizzly right now.
Is it a gift or is it a kiss?
The white
Josh.
elephant of whiskey.
A white elephant of whiskey. I love that. Josh, how you doing? What are you drinking?
I'm doing good. I'm drinking a summer hazy love from Victory. Can you see that? I'm not even gonna try. It's a decent beer.
It's a decent beer. I love the your cousin from Boston beer commercials that Sam Adams has put out. And
Yeah,
the last one is Wicked Hazy. Like, yeah, but what's it called? Wicked Hazy. Yeah, I know it's Wicked Hazy, but what's it called? Wicked Hazy, kid. I guess it's funny to us. Stace, how you doing? What are you drinking?
I'm doing well. I am drinking water, just like always.
Yeah, you always find some way to weasel out of drinking alcohol with us. Speaking of weasels, this week we're doing one of the
We already did this.
We're doing one of the oddest characters in the new upcoming Suicide Squad movie, The Weasel. Tommy. Sweet, sweet Tommy. Tell me everything you know about the Weasel, buddy.
Before you get started, LT, let me buy you some time. I did not realize I owned every appearance of the Weasel. It was pure happenstance, but I have all 8 appearances.
Wait, 8? I thought there was
Eight?
only like 4.
I could only find 3.
I only
He
found
had
4.
4 issues of Firestorm,
Yeah.
3 of Blackest Night,
Oh,
and
but
1 of Doom Patrol Suicide Squad crossover.
missed that one. Missed a
That's
couple.
what I read.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the backstory of everyone's favorite child-eating superhero.
Super villain.
Yeah.
So, the Weasel, John Monroe, lonely student at Stanford in the 60s. His contemporaries didn't notice him, and they called him the Weasel. He took that name to heart. His first appearance was in The Fury of Firestorm, number 35 in 1985, created by Jerry Conway and Raphael Kayanen. Other than that, he's a big character in the DC universe. Originally, he was a guy kind of in a weasel suit in the issues that I read. But then later on, he became more of a sort of man weasel, if you will. That's pretty much all I can say about the Weasel.
Mikey, you're chomping at the bit to
I
fill
read
the blanks.
the first 2 Firestorm issues where they could have been written today, because if you've been in academics, you know that it's very hard to get tenure. And
I've been in a couple academics. I know Tom gets into an academic.
He's talking about sex. Ba-boom!
Oh,
I can't believe
I
you got that inference, Mike.
matriculated the shit out of her.
So anyway, in the Firestorm characters series where he was first introduced, there were murders at a university, and they presumed that what they figured out what was happening is that the character of the Weasel was killing people off because he was trying to get tenure at the university. So he was killing off tenure track professors to increase his effort to get tenure, but also he was killing off the people that first called him the Weasel back at Stanford. So that's how they figured out he was the Weasel.
I just want
It's-
it noted that in your description, and I'm going to compliment Tom for not saying shit, you said they didn't notice him and they called him the Weasel. They had to notice him if they were calling him the Weasel. But Tom, you kept your cool. You didn't lose your shit on LT, and I respect that. I'm going to drink to that. Thank you.
Anyway, he's a bit character. He's only been in, what, 8 issues
hmm
since 1985.
So
And I own them all. I'm
Mike
going to be
owns
Mikey
rich.
owns them all.
I am going to be so
Can it
rich
be-
when
and
the
I've read a
Suicide Squad
handful of
movie
them.
comes out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I
So I
can't wait for
jumped
my
online.
Bricklings Avengers come golden.
And I found that sort of that first set of comics, The Fury of Firestorm, and I jumped on Comixology, and of course I grabbed the first appearance, which of course was one panel at the end.
$1.99 well spent, sir.
Well spent. And then of course it jumped ahead 2 issues to his next appearance, which I didn't realize because he was at the last panel of the other comic. And I
How do
did
you-
not do enough investigation, I admit. I did not do my diligence, and I paid the price, $4 extra for 2 issues of Fury of Firestorm I never wanted to read, along with 2 additional in which he actually appeared, in which I also did not want to read.
How did you keep a long box guy in suspense? Wait 2 issues.
Wait.
And were you completely dissatisfied with all of the issues of Firestorm that you read?
I really was. And,
Exactly.
And I have to say, the other
Not
thing
great.
that I'm not sure where this came from, because I didn't read them all, did they ever explain where he got his super agility?
No.
Or he was just, okay.
He,
All right.
he's just a dude who likes to dress like a weasel, man.
It's
Come
just
All
a
right.
on.
dude
Some
whose Weasel
point.
is very good at moving around and slithering into stuff. And
Well,
yeah,
what was
they
his,
didn't.
he was an academic. What was his thesis on? If it's on weasel genetics, I think we got a little. I think we got a little in. I think
I
we
don't
got
remember.
little
This
look
is the
behind
other
curtain.
problem with the plot,
even
is that he was
say?
killing off tenure track professors of all different types. Like, it didn't matter
What
the
track?
the track. It didn't matter.
So, like, hey, the philosophy professor's got to go because I got to get into the biology department.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
didn't make a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Yeah, no.
You know, if he was in Marvel, he could have at least got a job with AIM.
Yeah.
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 But unfortunately, stuck in the DC universe, he's got very limited options. Do I apply to a different school or do I just kill all my competition? I didn't say he was a good professor.
Nope.
Potato.
Exactly.
Well, he must have, I think he was physics, because wasn't half of Firestorm showing up to take his slot? Right? Wasn't that the.
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
like Martin
Yeah,
Stein.
yeah.
He wanted to
Yeah, he
eliminate Martin Stein, so it was probably physics. Although it may
Well, he
not.
killed other
I don't
people,
think it
though.
was physics, though. I think it was some other science.
I think it's got to be biology because you got the weasel. Dude, that was his final paper. And to prove my theory, look, back at the weasel. I'm gonna eat 23 babies.
And clearly it wasn't sewing because he had a weasel costume. And just the costume, like, you just had it lying around. Like, somebody starts you with a nickname, and eventually you're like, you know what? I am going to cosplay as that animal. What?
I'm taking it back.
And
Take
like,
it back.
how could you be so like super agile in that thing, like climbing around stuff all over town and killing people in it? That thing's got to be hot.
I've done
Like-
that shit in a onesie. No, I'm not taking
I was
that.
gonna say, I've seen Josh pull off some pretty amazing things dressed as a pervert. So
I'm just saying,
Yeah, he's
you're
basically
going up against Firestorm, and you're keeping up with him, like in that onesie, and you're not overheating.
Well, he's
I
never
don't get
keeping
it.
up with Firestorm, really, right? He's keeping up with the professor.
that is, like a 76-year-old man.
It's just, he
Yeah,
wasn't
his
exactly
name is
level
Ronnie
set.
Raymond.
Yeah, he wasn't exactly level set against Firestorm. Like,
Yeah.
I can manipulate the the atomic structure of things. What do? I'm dressed as a weasel.
I ate
I'm
20.
a murderous
Actually,
furry.
I ate 23 children is better.
Yeah, in one
Like,
sit.
that's an accomplishment. That is something. Like, I
Yeah,
might
that's
be able to
something.
eat 3 kids. And I'm pretty sure I can eat Kristen Bell in one sitting, as I've said many times.
Yes.
But 23 kids, that's a lot of kids to eat.
A lot of kids.
Spoiler warning for those of you who are going to be watching the Suicide Squad movie. He was involved with one issue of the Suicide Squad. It was the crossover with Doom Patrol. And in that issue, he did 2 very important things. First, he killed the Thinker, who was going to be
Ooh.
one of the characters in the Suicide Squad movie. And second, he
He
got
ate
killed.
people.
He got killed.
And he did try to eat people. And at
Again,
that point, he was
Just a
more
dude in a
animal than man.
weasel. No, just a dude in a weasel costume still.
Really?
So,
Yes.
And he
'Cause
tried
was
to
really
attack.
trying to eat people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he tried to attack Robot Man.
Yep.
Why would you attack Robot Man if you're just a guy in a weasel costume?
Because he's
Because You're not
insane.
very smart. Yeah, he's.
I think somebody told him that he had a PhD.
That
That
all
robot man's
PhDs
got a
qualify
PhD.
for
He's on a
everything.
tenure track.
that seems reasonable.
All
So in the
right.
upcoming movie, Sean Gunn is voicing the Weasel, and I'm curious, and I'm gonna make everyone make a prediction right now, and we're using the Price is Right movie, the Price is Right rules. Closest minute in the run of Suicide Squad without going over when the
33.
Weasel is killed.
33.
33. Mike's got 33. Tom, what do you got?
44. You knew that going into this, but okay.
I did, yeah.
I'm gonna go with 26.
Bold that they're barely putting the team together at 26. Bold, my friend.
Stacey, what do you got?
Oh man, like part of me, I'm kind of with LT. I was thinking it would be early, like in that when Mike Allred started drawing X-Force and they just like obliterated all of the team. Thinking like maybe it's early. I'm gonna split the difference and say 37.
I'm gonna go with 17.
Oof.
Ooh.
I'm saying he
Friends
dies
are
on the
still-
he
think
dies on
Barely
the
making
drop.
it out of credits.
He dies on the drop in.
No, you know what? I think Tom's going to be right, and here's why. Because they have 2 missions that they're doing. One is in the South African country, or South American country, where they do one rescue operation, and another one is with the Thinker to stop the kaiju. So if the Weasel is going to maintain his comic book presence, he's going to kill the Thinker at an inopportune moment, which means he has to survive until the second act.
Mm-hmm. Smart.
So I think Tom's going to be right.
Well, what was your number there, Mikey?
Mike was
No.
33. You were
33?
44.
We're close. We're going to be close. All right. I can't wait to see how this jobs out. I see that they went with a superpowered, genetically altered weasel. I think that does make for some good CGI, and it also already made for a good bit in the trailer with our good friend Pete Davidson. Mikey, what do you got in the DC Encyclopedia for us about this?
So I went to the DC Comics Encyclopedia. It says right on the cover, the definitive guide to the characters of the DC universe. The Weasel is not in this book.
I was gonna say Weasel's not in there.
This is a big hardcover. Ain't no Weasel in that at
He's
all.
super powered roadkill. I mean,
He was not even in Who's Who.
Nor was he in the DC
Wow.
Comics universe game stats anywhere.
Well, we got to put him in.
I mean, he was in
pretty
Batman
easy to stat.
666.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Batman
and Blackest
666?
Night.
He got killed.
Okay. Do weasels like come back to life? Is this everyone comes back to life in the DC and Marvel universe at some points. I think I've been alive twice.
Maybe he's a wereweasel.
Ooh.
Or maybe he was bitten by a radioactive weasel during his dissertation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Weasel physics.
Yeah.
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 Can you
Yeah.
believe it? He was bit by
That's
a weasel
Right.
during his dissertation on weasel physics. Can you believe it? Yeah.
Yeah. The problem was when he was trying to get the dissertation out, he couldn't decide if it was going to be Wizzix or Feasel.
Oh.
Oh.
For those of you playing at home, you're supposed to drink whenever we reference Hudson Hawk. So go ahead and drink, folks.
Or would you rather be a fish? For God's sakes.
Would you rather be a weasel? A weasel is an animal who gets killed in the Suicide Squad.
But he finally gets to eat 23 kids. Once again, that's a lot of kids.
These a
I'm
lot of
envisioning,
kids.
considering how many kids that is.
It's exactly
I
how
mean-
many, the number you stated. That's how much
Yeah,
that's
but
at.
Yeah.
That's how
is
many
it
kids.
in a row or is it spread out over time?
I
Because-
You
think
know,
maybe
I like to think of it as a double Dutch tournament. Lock it.
Right.
Is it like a hot dog eating contest? Does he dunk them in water
Hmm.
before he eats them?
The,
What are
Well,
we doing?
Of course he does, Stacy. He's a gentleman.
the
All right.
average class size of the 3rd District of Brooklyn schools. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That's a lot of kids.
Fair enough.
I like to think of it as a church lockdown. Like, man, they locked us in for the night. I sure hope
Just
we're not
us and
all
that weasel.
Does
And that
anybody hear
weasel's like
Weasel?
3 seconds in.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, we got to start eating people.
Oh wait, actually, this is a fun movie. Like he's wearing a counselor shirt, and the
All the-
priest is like, "Keep him in here all night. Don't let him have sex."
All the doors were locked. What kind of Wizzix got you in here?
I like this voice for him too.
That's a good. I would take that voice all day.
Yeah.
I want to see this movie.
Hmm
I want to see my movie. Did any of the kids get up?
James Gunn, if you're listening, and we know you're not,
We know you're not. I
you've
tried
got
to
a
get him.
great.
Yeah.
All right, so we took on this ridiculous premise because we are doing all the Suicide Squad. I just regurgitated, hey, let's do the Weasel as a joke, but we did it, and it's kind of funny. But does anyone actually have like a favorite Weasel before we mention it? Did anyone even remember this character?
No.
No,
I did not even
not
know
at
I
all.
owned all of his comics.
You owned every single comic, and you did not know.
I've
that.
read all of his appearances, and I did not remember reading any of his appearances.
So you've read every single appearance, including the Doomsday one. In that one, is he still just wearing a costume?
Doom Patrol, yeah.
Doom Patrol, and
Yeah.
they never explained the change. Okay.
So I read Blackest Night and don't remember him for that. I sought out the other 4 issues that he was in, and I read them, and I still don't like this character.
So
Yeah.
the Batman
Yeah.
666 character
Yes.
was a different Weasel. That was a were-weasel hybrid kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a costume. So that's maybe more.
And it's in
related.
the future. Damian has taken over the mantle as Batman, and he's trying to clean up Gotham. He's doing it in Damian's way. He's not afraid to kill, and he takes out a bunch of C-list villains that are holding a bunch of people hostage, and the Weasel is one of them. He's in like a handful of panels, like maybe 2 or 3 panels,
Well,
if
I
that.
mean, I don't want to say any of the other characters' names. I'm afraid you're going to make us do another episode about him. But like a character like the Ringer was only in like 4 or 5 issues. He was a minor character killed off by the.
Whoa, save it for next week, buddy.
Yeah.
No,
You
that's
just
not. He's not in the
saying-
Suicide Squad. I picked one that wasn't in the Suicide
Oh, all
Squad.
right.
Yeah, he'll probably be in the next Suicide Squad movie.
Well, he can't be.
Yeah.
This is Marvel.
Oh. Well,
No.
Damian's Way sounds like a charity that is set up for the families of supervillains that Damian has killed, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a good segue for the front of the long box.
Ooh, is it? Then let's, for God's sakes, get out of this. I'm sure
get
no
it
one
now.
has any last words to say. Mikey, please, for God's sakes, what do you got at the front of the long box?
At the front of the long box, I have the latest volume of Checkmate. It is being written by Brian Michael Bendis. If you enjoyed Event Leviathan, then you are going to like this 6-issue miniseries. If you did not read that, don't bother picking this up because you will be like, what the fuck is going on? In this, Damian Wayne is one of the kind of the members of Checkmate. Him and Talia al Ghul are tracking down folks from Leviathan. They get captured, and it is the rest of the newly formed Checkmate that is trying to find Mark Shaw, the head of the Leviathan. It is all spy, cloak and dagger kind of espionage stuff going on in the DC universe. If you are a fan of Event Leviathan, like I said, pick it up. If you did not pick up Event Leviathan, do not pick this series up at all.
All right. Tommy, what do you have at the back of the Longbox for me?
I have Exo Man of War from 2017 to like 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. Matt Kint's run on Exo Man of War, excellent.
Oh yeah, Exo Man of War was fucking phenomenal.
Starts out with Exo Man of War on an alien planet, hooking up with this alien girl, just hanging out in the countryside, farming on an alien planet, and there's a war about to happen. He gets conscripted. He fights without the armor in this war. Him and his fellow conscripted people are basically cannon fodder, and they're not even given weapons. He makes it out alive with a group of people. He keeps some of his fellow people alive, and they start following him. He moves up the ranks, and it's just a really good story about, you know, the Exo Men War, and eventually he has to take on the armor, and he destabilizes an entire planet, thinking that he can rule it and make it better, and not really realizing that he can't. That Eric the Visigoth cannot do this job. It's above his pay grade, and despite his best intentions, it does not go well, and he just makes a mess of this entire planet. And then he decides to go back to Earth because he gets a SOS from one of his friends, and it's just a really good run on this character. A decent amount of it's on Comixology. You know, not all of the collected editions were a hit with me, but out of the 7 that I read this weekend, 6 out of 7 were fantastic. So recommend people pick it up, take a look, read some of it, because it's good stuff.
And if you're not familiar with Exo Man of War, it's a Valiant Comics character. He is basically the Superman of the Valiant universe.
No, he's the Iron Man.
He's the Iron Man meets Superman, right? He's a lot more powerful. He's on the level of Superman in power wise than Iron Man.
He's got a suit of armor that gives him all his power, and it is technologically advanced. Even though he didn't create it, it was created by aliens. But it is the source of all his power, and it allows him to do hacking. It allows him to give him flight, and to basically give him all sorts of technological advances. He's like Iron Man on steroids, but it all comes from his armor.
LT, let me say this. When you're talking about Exo Man of War, it's like the only time you're really loquacious. It's like when George Bush talks about war, it's the only time it actually like falls out of his mouth in any sort of way that makes a lot of sense. Are you in love with Exo Man of War? I just need to know.
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
I don't know the way you sound.
I mean, if you were going to fuck someone from the Valiant universe, would it be Exo Man of War?
No.
Make love? All right.
All right. FFA, the Valiant universe.
Speaking of anything else but Tom making sweet, sweet love to Exo Man of War, Stacy, do you have a toy for us this week?
I do. I'm continuing the theme of Dark Knight's Death Metal toys from McFarlane. And if you, like me, were a fan of the comic Henry and Glenn Forever, and you're curious what it would be like if Henry Rollins and Glenn Danzig were Kryptonian and they sent their son to Earth.
I've been wondering this every day of my life.
This is what it looks like.
So he's what,
This-
4'6", 4'7"?
That's actually life size.
Yeah,
Nice.
this is 1-to-1 scale. No, this is the Superman from Dark Knight's Death Metal. I love him because he is ridiculous. He has a Rocky Dark Side looking arm. He's got armbands, big boots, and again, he looks like Henry Rollins and Glenn Danzig had a Kryptonian baby.
A little bit like every late 80s wrestler ever also.
Yeah, he definitely has early WCW vibes.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you've seen it, but if you are listening to this podcast, we do have a podcast available everywhere. Stacy, if they're on the podcast, they're probably wondering, where can I see this? Where can I see this awesome miniature or doll? Excuse me.
Action figure. I'm just kidding. They're not dolls. No, I'm kidding. As I sit with a bunch of dolls behind me, Barbie dolls. But yeah, you can see them on my Instagram at Geeky Vixen.
Well, Geeky Vixen, we didn't catch you playing with your dolls again.
Yeah.
I told you never come in.
They're action figures, Dad.
Figures, not dolls.
I would say through stained cheeks. Let's talk about anything besides that. Josh, you got a tangent for us?
Yeah, so Stacy mentioned Glenn Danzig, and Glenn Danzig had a comic book for a while. And so at a Comic-Con, I happened to bump into Glenn Danzig. And I had always seen him in music videos or other stuff like that, where he's always clearly shot from a low angle. And so the day I met him, I did not realize Glenn Danzig's like maybe 5'2". He's a diminutive fellow, nice guy. I didn't read the comic, but he was very forthcoming and very interesting to talk to. It was a horror comic, and so the tangent is who have you met before that either just defied either their just threw you for a loop, either just from their physical appearance when you first met them, their voice, their personality, just anyone like that. What do you got?
All right. So I'm a heterosexual, but holy shit, Sean Mayer is just the most beautiful man I have ever met in my life. I met him at Pensacon. I got my photo taken with him and I almost passed out because I was sucking my gut in because he was just so pretty. I just wanted to look halfway decent. And the person apparently had never worked an iPhone because they couldn't take the fucking picture fast enough. Oh my God, I almost passed out. But man, I thought I'm kind of gay for Sean Mayer.
All right, that's good. Tommy, how about you?
Henry Winkler. I mean, I grew up knowing him as the Fonz. And when Mikey went to go get his picture with Henry Winkler's like, no, come on in. Come on. He was the nicest guy. He was he was like everybody's grandpa. He was just such a sweet, sweet person. People were like trying to rush him to get us out. And he was like taking his time, being like, whatever, and just being like nice and kind and just a sweetheart.
He is. I actually physically bumped into him at Rhode Island Comic-Con, and he was like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Have I injured you?" I'm like, "You're this big. You did not injure me."
Yeah. Also, not a big guy. Yeah.
He was wearing a yellow cable knit sweater, and he like pulled me over to his booth. He's like, "I just had to get you out of that crowd. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine, thanks." He was a sweet.
Quick question. Do you think Henry Winkler's ever been on the Love Boat?
If you need to know the answer to that burning question, chip into our Patreon page where for a mere $1 a month.
$1.
I know, right?
A month?
A month?
A month. You can pay more if you want. We actually have some tiers set up above that. You can actually hear an extra podcast we do every week. And one of the things we do is we find out whether or not someone from, let's say, Happy Days, how many of those cast members were also on the Love Boat. Or maybe we do Fantasy Island. Or maybe we just talk about what we did that week. It's only $1, and all the money does go to a charity organization, the Elizabeth Peabody House, which provides meals for 90 families a week. which is no small thing.
That
And
was
getting back to
Chad
the getting back to the subject, I got two quickies. One was me and Mikey were at a wrestling show, and the Fabulous Freebirds were waiting for a sandwich. Was that the team?
No, the Heavenly Bodies.
The Heavenly,
Bigelow,
thank you.
Jimmy Del Rey.
Jimmy Del Rey, the Heavenly Bodies, and they were in great shape, but they were also like 5 foot nothing. Like, holy shit, I've seen you guys wrestle for years now, and I kind of thought you were taller than me, at least. Like, I really think I could pick you up and put you in my pocket. You're the cutest little fella. And also, I bumped into Lou Ferrigno at a con, and I made sure, and Mikey, you can tell your other Lou Ferrigno story. I love that one too. I bumped into Lou Ferrigno at a con. I looked him right in the face, and I said, "Oh, excuse me, Mr. Ferrigno." And I made sure I looked at him because I know he's deaf. I said, "I really, really enjoy your stuff." And he looks me dead in the eye and goes, "Thanks. I really appreciate hearing that." And I'm like, "Holy shit! Did you get your hearing back?" And he goes, without missing him, he goes, "No, but I learned to say that really well." That's not a joke, by the way. I'm not making fun of anybody. He knows that one phrase like super, super well, and then everything else kind of has that.
He got his cochlear implant this year.
Yeah. This was years and years and years ago.
Years ago.
I cried like a baby when I watched that video.
Yeah, Jesus, that is moving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mike, you want to tell your Lou Ferrigno story?
Yeah, New Orleans Comic-Con. I am in the restroom. There are 30 urinals to choose from, and Lou Ferrigno decides to use the one right next to me. So I got to see the Incredible Hulk's cock. And as he's standing there peeing, I turn and look at him, and I'm going, "This is not intimidating at all." And he looks at me and says, "You're right, it's not intimidating."
You gotta hide that shit better, man.
And he was like, "Hulk splash."
Oh, no.
That is the funniest thing that's ever been said on this podcast.
I appreciate that. That's what I appreciate about you.
That's what I appreciate about you, Stacy. Is that all you appreciate about her, Josh?
No, I appreciate her story because I don't think Stacy's told us hers yet.
Yeah,
I have not. I had a particularly good day at a convention called Adventure Con in Knoxville, Tennessee. Probably, a long time ago, between 12 and 15 years ago. We saw Ernie Hudson eating a sandwich. That was fun.
Name for a band.
Corey Feldman kind of leapfrogged, pushed down on my husband's shoulders to get through a crowd. But the best part of the day was we were walking out and Peter Mayhew was walking in, and I knew that he was tall, but you just don't appreciate it till you see him in person. He's so tall, and I just kind of, because I love Chewbacca, and I just kind of looked up and was like, "Hi," and he just looked down at me and he goes, "Hello," and it was the best thing that happened to me. Like, it was wonderful. And then a few years ago, I was fortunate enough to meet Carrie Fisher, and she is just as tiny as I expected her to be. So I've been on opposite ends of the spectrum, kind of. Yeah, it was meeting Peter Mayhew. I mean, I didn't really get to talk to him other than him just saying hi to me, but it was awesome.
He is in my Star Wars signature book. And he's about 7'4", I believe.
Yeah.
It's such a sweet guy. Good Lord. Every time I bumped into him, we saw him at tons of cons. I mean, I've not a lot of interaction because he was always on his way someplace, but just always so nice. And just, "Hi, everybody. It's me, Peter. My life is pain. We know. We're sorry. God damn it.
Yeah. We love you.
We love you." Anybody else there?
Yeah. That's everyone.
Moving on to plugs, guys. Moving on. This thing seems like it's just going in super fast motion. What do you got for plugs there, Mikey?
I would like to plug Cat 5, the Longbox guys' official dodgeball team. That's right. We sponsor a dodgeball team, Cat 5 in New Orleans. They have competed all over the country. If you get a chance to go see them, you should really do that. Tell them the Longbox guys sent you. Also, I'd like to thank Kirby Crackle for providing their music to us to use. You can check them out at kirbycracklemusic.com. If you want to get any of their albums, we play the music on the podcast. Those who are listening on YouTube, sorry, we don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. I can't send YouTube the email they sent me saying, "Yeah, cool, go for it."
But it's there.
It's there.
It's there.
And of course, if you want to check out another podcast that's not ours or one of Stacy's, which I'm sure she'll talk about, you can check out whosnextgaming.com to see Seth and the boys. It's always interesting listening to them talk about movies, games, sex robots, all the important stuff.
And speaking of Stacy, name a couple of your other podcasts because you're everywhere.
Yeah, so I do most of my podcasting outside of this podcast on theretronetwork.com. So if you want to get your fix of nostalgia, we talk about wrestling, we play games, we talk about random moments from MTV that we've held on to for all these years. TV shows we love, movies we love, all that stuff. So we do blogs and we also do podcasts. I occasionally will write blog posts about toys and take pictures. I need to do that a little bit more because I have a lot of toys that people would probably enjoy seeing. So, but yeah.
And this isn't your OnlyFans page.
No, that's something different. That's separate. But yeah, you can check all that out on theretronetwork.com.
And speaking of MTV, Stacy later on asked me how I made Daisy Fuentes cry one time. That is my biggest MTV moment of my life, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Josh, anything to plug? How about Swords and Beer?
Swordsandbeer.com. I'm trying to get back to reviewing some beers. So it's actually just beer-tube.com. I'll be posting some videos soon. I gotta get my camera back up and running if I can find it in a box. And the other thing is I'll plug Haw River, HAW River Brewing down in near Durham, South Carolina. They were on all of my recent tours, my favorite brewery out there. So if you're down in that neck of the woods, go check them out. They make some amazing stuff.
Indeed. Let me just plug real quick, Wida Pirate Museum. The Wida pirate ship was found off of Cape Cod about 20 years ago. It was one of the few pirate ships that was ever almost fully recovered from the bottom of the Cape, and it is a terrific place to see some authentic salvage from a pirate ship. Blackjack Bill Bellamy, real name. Well, maybe not Bill, but Bellamy for certainly. I think it's Bell Bib DeVoe Bellamy. That might be it.
Yeah.
And but the Pirate Museum, unlike me, is 100% accurate and really very cool. If you get a chance and you're down the Cape near Hyannis, just outside, check it out. It was worth the extra little miles that I took. Tommy, who are you gonna plug there, buddy?
I'd like to plug geekorthodox.com.
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 Hello, Tammy.
Geekorthodox.com, purveyors of fine t-shirts and other geeky things such as stained glass prints, Johnny Skywalker rocks glasses, baseball t-shirts, you name it, they got it. Geekorthodox.com.
And this fall, you can find their merchandise at DragonCon, Gen Con, and New York Comic Con.
Ooh, and Josh, how many of those are you hitting this year?
DragonCon and Gen Con, almost for sure.
Neat. And New York Comic Con? Maybe.
I honestly, I think they're on the fence about it. So I think I don't know if I'm gonna go down for that. We'll see.
All right.
We can take a train from my house and then I'll crash at my place.
That's true.
Ooh.
It's not a bad train ride from you.
Yeah. Or from Boston either.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, guys. I guess that's going to do it for our program this week. Thank you ever so much for joining us. We're getting really close to our, if you can believe this, 250th episode. Wait,
That's
this is it?
Yeah,
This episode?
This is our very special 250th.
Is that including the Angel episode?
That is included. Of course.
course.
It's our best
course it
episode.
It's our best
Angel
episode.
This is our
If you
best
haven't
episode.
If you haven't watched the Angel episode, by the way, because now we finally put that out on Blu-ray. So you can find that on Amazon. So the Blu-ray version and the YouTube version and the podcast version, easily our best. I cannot believe Walter Goggins stopped by for that.
Walter,
It was incredible.
Walton Goggins.
Walter.
Goggins.
No, this was
No,
Walter
I
Goggins.
think that
This
guy's
is
name
Walter
was
Goggins.
Walter.
Yeah.
This guy's name was
Oh.
Walter for certain.
That explains so much.
It explains so much. Walter Goggins was just like, hey, for a sandwich, I'll do a podcast. Holy shit.
gosh,
Love to
yeah.
have you, sir. So, yeah. All right,
Good
205th.
sandwich,
So,
yeah.
congratulations to us. I don't know what to say about that. That's a lot of podcasts.
A lot of podcasts.
That's
not
even
There's a
counting our
body of work
Patreon.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where we've lasted almost as long as, or we might be getting real close to being longer than the Civil War.
Or yeah, maybe
Yeah.
longer. Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Close.
Yeah. I'm just saying we're national heritage at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. People down south should put our flag on a pickup truck and just drive around in circles.
Drive around. Longbox, guys! The long time shall rise again.
Deke is definitely doing that.
Yeah. Deke.
See?
Deke.
If
Oh,
you
we had a
would
big
like,
sighting.
if you guys would like to give us a suggestion or have any kind of questions for us about comic books and you want us to do the history of a character, go ahead and tweet us at the Longbox Guys, or you can send an email to luckybastard@thelongboxguys.com. You can even check out our website, thelongboxguys.com. Or if you're listening on YouTube, like I said, we have a podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. Or if you're listening on a podcast, hey, if you want to see what we actually look like, you don't want to do that, but go over to YouTube anyways and subscribe. If you have subscribed, we really appreciate it. If you haven't, come on, man. Come on.
Come on. Come on.
Come on, man. How hard is it to click subscribe?
One
Come
click.
on.
Come on.
One click.
Link it. Stab it.
Yeah.
You
Listen,
do
white
stuff all
guys
the
are great.
time on accident. Just click that
Yeah.
one on purpose.
Yeah.
When else are you going to get 5 white people talking about diversity?
Yeah.
Nowhere else.
Nowhere else.
Nowhere else. Historically, this never ends well. Not yet, anyways. Fall River, I'll give you one. Seneca Falls, that one was okay. History major, that's right.
Yeah.
I brought up the Seneca Falls conference. That'll do it for us. Mikey, what's this podcast like for you?
It's like drunk history, but for comics.
And Josh, Gen Con. Is that your sector?
Dragon Con before Gen Con. Dragon Con will be my sector Labor Day weekend in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. When are we ever going to see those T-shirts that we were going to make a million years ago of that's not my sector?
Who knows?
We got to get back on that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're wondering, that was 200 episodes ago. That we talked
200
about.
episodes
Yeah,
ago.
just a little bit
It's
of a call.
a great idea for a T-shirt. Tommy, sweet Tommy. What do you got for me, buddy?
If you haven't gotten your shot, go get your shot. Get 2 of them. Get your shots.
At this point, I just want those people to die.
I think you should change it to get your shots with the Longbox Guys.
Yeah.
Get your shots with the Longbox Guys.
Oh,
We've
that
all
sounds
gotten
good.
our shots.
Oh, yeah.
You should get your shot too.
I get like extras.
It's true.
Stacy, any words of wisdom for us on the way out?
You know, as I went on a 7-mile hike this weekend, I can
Humble brag.
attest to it was unintentional. We didn't know it was going to be a 7-mile hike. We just decided to hike the perimeter of the park we were in. I am lucky to live in a state that has a lot of beautiful state parks within an hour drive, some of them in town. If you have a state park close to you, go to that state park, spend some time, spend some money, support them because they're amazing. And they take a lot of work.
Yeah, Mikey, you remember that beautiful trip we took through Yosemite Park in my smart car?
Yeah.
We saw bears. Yeah.
I just did Yosemite with my son a couple months ago.
Oh, nice. We're in a smart car in Yosemite Park, and we noticed 2 bears on the left and a bear on the right. And then we're like, man, we are not the top of the food chain here in the smart car.
I mean, if that were a cartoon, they would have looked at you and seen a can of Spam.
Yeah. That's basically all we were.
Thank you for thinking we're spiced.
We are spiced. We are very bland. Me and Mike, they're like, man, this is like eating a mayo sandwich.
And covered in gel. That you don't know what it is.
What? Did Do you think I was sexually aroused by being eaten by a bear? Because I would have been.
No, like sweaty because you were in a smart car. And also Spam is covered in weird gel.
And
Fair.
so am I. And don't forget what I always say, just promote what you love, don't diss what you hate. You're going to live a lot longer. Thank you for the Longbox, guys.
Love you. Bye bye.
All right, so real quick, Stacey, I'm living in Hawaii.